Great. So hi everyone.
Hi.
Today I'm presenting about contemporary music embodiment and perception, which is basically it's an ongoing project. This is a work in progress, and it's what I'll be showing you is the experimental setup for an experiment that I'm going to be running in a couple months. And it's actually part of a bigger project, which is kind of half composition and half research, and that's hosted by the STMS. It's a Marie Curie postdoc fellowship for 2 years, and I work mainly with the Cosmos team. So just before jumping in, I say thank you to the team. Okay, so first I'll tell you about the, everything's joined. First I'll tell you about the project a little bit, then what kind of data I'm interested in collecting, how to actually collect it and keep it synchronized, and then I'll show you an actual demo with music and all the interfaces and everything like that. Come in, sorry. So, to go over the project just a little bit, Ear Stretch is the name of the big project that this is part of, and it's about contemporary music engagement, contemporary classical music engagement. And the main goals are to record what's going on when people are engaging with contemporary music physiologically, and to try to improve their engagement with the music too. So those two goals. And this idea came from just observing that people either don't really like contemporary music, untrained non-musicians may not really like contemporary music, or they don't really know what it is and they don't listen to it. So I found that kind of interesting and I wanted to study it. And I'm coming from a background of being a musician and a perception and neuroscience researcher myself. So the hypothesis is that people may not really be engaging with new music because they don't have any expectations and they don't know what to do with themselves while they're listening to it. So we thought that we could probably try to give them some form of expectation while they're listening, and this might change how they hear it and how they engage with it. Maybe they'll like it more when they have a clear expectation. And so one way we'll do it is with an active interface. We want to give people control of the tempo like a conductor, so that they form temporal expectations and they really, they're moving, tapping on an interface and hearing the results in almost real time, so that this perception and action cycle can influence their brain and hopefully their engagement overall. And then if I have time, I'll also show you something else that we're going to do, a passive feedback where people will listen and be able to feel the beats, but they won't control it, because for the purposes of experiment, it's good to have all these different conditions. So, okay, I'll just jump ahead to the kind of data that I'm looking at. So for the music, I need something that's controllable in real time, so I'm going to use this awesome Disklavier. So I can send in MIDI, which can be manipulated, on my computer with Macs, and then it puts out the audio, which I can then record, and that serves as the actual experimental stimuli. In order to measure the engagement, I have a few different sensors. So I'm actually wearing this one. It's a polar chest strap. It's a heart rate monitor. It just has one channel. That's the word. But it's quite good. It's a consumer level device. I'm also interested in EEG, and what I have at the moment is just a Muse headset, which I'm also wearing. This one is not research grade, but it kind of served to help us set up this whole experimental setup, and I can show you a little bit about it. It's a little bit finicky, so we'll see where that goes. Hopefully it will be replaced soon by a more research-grade set like this Anobio Neuroelectric, which has like 20 channels. What else? So the tapping data, somehow I need to record the taps that are going on and actually just have an interface for people to tap on. So the one that I've like a lot these days is, it's here. It's this Rolly, this one. I've tried a few different things. This is just a trackpad. Here's a MIDI pad. But this Rolly device is kind of nice. It's a programmable surface, and it's touch sensitive. You can measure pressure and touch, and I'm just turned it into one big button, basically, for people to tap on. And then finally, the haptic devices I mentioned. If we have time, I can show you those. They're hooked up over there. But basically, they're just some speaker cones, which are about the size of a fingertip. So I can send audio to the speakers at a pulse, a low-frequency pulse rate, which lines up with the beats of ongoing music. And then people can feel that pulse as they listen to the music, but they don't really hear anything. Yeah. OK, so there's a lot of different data types. And for an experiment, they all need to be aligned, because one of the main things, in data analysis is figuring out how everything corresponds, right, in time. So there is a very handy tool called Lab Streaming Layer, and this might be of interest to people. So it's a way for data to basically it's a library, and people at University of California, San Diego, have made this, and they also made a lot of EEG processing software, and the two go together really well. I've kind of hacking into it to use it for slightly non-EEG applications, but it's pretty flexible, and for people who know how to code, there's a lot of boilerplate code to make your own apps, make your own lab streaming layer streams. So essentially, data coming from a device can be put into a stream, which then one central computer can read and record all the different streams, and they're all synchronized, time locked. The timestamps are aligned. And one nice thing, the different data streams do not have to have the same sampling rate, and it can also handle audio rate. So if you're trying to, send audio, which is something I think OSC is not great at, for example. So if you, have something where you need to send audio around, you might be able to do it with this lab streaming layer. So I encourage you to check it out. Okay. So all the different data types that are going to come from my laptop, I'll have some tapping control to control the expectations with, a conductor kind of interface. I have some heart rate, EEG. I'm also going to record from the mic because I want to know what people were actually hearing. And of course, what they're hearing is actually also MIDI, so that's going out from the computer to the Disklavier. And to just validate everything, to make sure it's really, truly aligned. In the real experiment, I'll probably also record the audio and MIDI again on a different computer so that I can then compare them and make sure it's really correct. And just for fun, this microphone too, I have my laptop mic. I also have a mic pointing into the piano. And that one is being run with the computer over there, the Mac Mini, but I can make data on that computer and put it onto a stream and read it, on my laptop here. So there's a nice networking ability. So I'll show you that in a minute. So yeah, this just summarizes the different types of streams and data that I'm trying to collect and synchronize. And I think that's about it. I can now actually show you some of this stuff. And there's not too many people, so if you want to, maybe people can try things at the end. Okay. So, first of all, let me show you. So this is something that I mentioned, EEG Lab. This is, running through MATLAB. It's meant to process EEG data very quickly and efficiently, almost automatically. And the same people who made this have also made the lab streaming layer technology. So what I can demo here for you is turning my heart rate monitor into a stream. So first I need to turn on my Bluetooth. That's the first step. Okay. Okay, so this is code that I didn't create. I have all the links for this type of stuff if you're interested in looking it up. But, oh, my polar device not found. Let's try again. It does typically work. I guess it's the demo effect, you know? One more time. Here we go. Okay, thank goodness. So basically this code, which I've borrowed from somebody, turns the data coming from the Bluetooth on the heart rate into an LSL stream. And I can pick up that LSL stream through this EEG lab, which knows how to interface with LSL. Oh, I actually have two streams. So the one I care about is polar. And I'll just show you what's going on in real time. So here's my heart rate. It's a little too large. There we go. So this is real data, and the happening right now. The drawing might not be optimized, so it might be a little bit squiggly, more squiggly than it really is. But I can like prove that it's real. Let's see, it can kind of detach and see. Yeah. Okay. So, oh, now I've lost the center. But this is streamed data, and it really was as easy as this. There are ways to record it. You know, for instance, here I can just hit record and get the data, but there are other ways to record multiple streams at once. So for now, I'll just stop this. And for demoing, I'm going to open up a couple other streams. So let me go. Sure, this looks like a good desktop. There is precompiled apps, I guess you would say, which, you know, released apps on the LSL GitHub, which can do things like record audio. So here I'll make an audio stream coming from my laptop. So I'll call this laptop mic. And link. And now if I go back to the MATLAB viewer, the streams now include laptop mic. So it's pretty simple. I will also start one over there just to show you. So somebody want to give me a name to prove that it's not, I'll just call it a Mac Mini mic. That was the same like audio capture just running on the other computer. And hopefully it will actually show up as an available stream. Yeah, we've got Mac Mini mic. So let me see if I can show you. Well, it's just one microphone. There are actually 4 inputs here, but we've only got one mic, and the audio is coming in. And it's really squiggly again because, you know, the drawing isn't optimized to show the audio. But this is at 44/100 sampling rate. And, you know, it's possible to actually take buffers full of data and do things with it. I don't quite know how to do it myself, but for, you know, brain-computer interface device, if you're trying to make a BCI or, you know, just buffer any kind of data around, you can do it with the LSL. Okay, so the last thing I guess I'll show you is the Muse, which is sometimes finicky, so hopefully it was connected to my phone. I'm going to disconnect that, and hopefully it will connect. Again, I have some kind of pre-existing software that somebody's written from University of Victoria, and it knows how to talk to the Muse and take the Bluetooth data into an LSL stream. So we'll see if it finds it. Oh no. I think it turned off. Let's search again. All right. I have started the stream. It's not easy to visualize this one, which I'm not sure why, but it should exist as an LSL stream, so I'll just check. Yeah, okay, there's a Muse device now. All right. Oops. And yes, it for some reason is not visualizing. Okay. So basically all these streams are running, and what I want to do with this is record everything at once. So there's another handy app called Lab Recorder, which is made by the LSL people. And this is what allows me to choose all sorts of different streams to record simultaneously. Muse comes up a couple times because there's an accelerometer and a gyroscope as well. And hopefully I can put this somewhere where I can find it. This is a demo. And that's it. So data's recording. So now I want to show you some music. So there were a lot of lovely Max patches in this forum, and mine is not one of them. I've just started using it, so don't mind the mess. Essentially, I just have a MIDI file which I'm going to read. In the project coming up, I'll use some stuff that I write myself, but I believe it's already read into this patch. So essentially what I do is just start it, and okay, I'm controlling the tap, and when I stop, it's really, you know, only going when I tell it to go. So it's more like a conductor than a tempo tap, which has some of its own problems. So now that thinks the tempo is very slow and it's confused. One thing that I was trying to work on, you know, there's different synchronization strategies. So I could have the MIDI just running all the time, and it could read intervals while I'm tapping and just apply it as the audio keeps running. But in that case, sometimes the taps wouldn't really align with beats. It would just be that the taps happen and change the tempo. So one nice thing about this interface, which I like, is since it's pressure sensitive, I can kind of measure the rate of people's fingers going on and off the device. And with that, it's, you know, it's not the same as conducting an air, like with the Comovox or, you know, an Antescofo. There are also some synchronization strategies that, you know, estimate where people are, but you kind of need two events in order to estimate something. So at least one thing which will come up next is that the press can be used, the length of the press can maybe be used to estimate a tempo change before you have another tap, which is kind of interesting, but not super working right now. So I will, I want to stop the recording that I was making and try to open it up just to show you all the data streams at once. And then there's some time left over, so I'm happy to answer questions, or people can actually try, and I'd be happy to get feedback. And I can also play for you the haptic feedback over here. So yeah, let's do that. I'll open up the data streams. here's the demo that I just called it. All right, so here are all my data streams. I know Muse is a little bit finicky, so I'm not going to open that one. But I'll open the two microphones that I have, the heart rate and the taps. I forgot to mention. From Max, Charles Picasso is nice enough to help me make, well, actually he compiled an object in Max, which knows how to take in, event data into a stream. And so I was able to actually record the taps into the LSL data as well. So hopefully this will behave and open, and I'll be able to show you. Because this is meant for EEG processing, it's very quick to plot things. I think there is a scaling problem here. All right, that looks better. So it looks like one of the top lines is a microphone. The second line may also be a mic. The next three might be the blank spots which came from the sound card over there, which didn't have a mic input. And the bottom is the heart rate. Can you see? I'll lift it up so you can see it a bit better. It's quite scaled down. Anyway, let's see if I can, and here are some of the clicks. So these events came in and everything's synchronized. Here are some more clicks. So this is essentially what the experiment will look like. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions? So does anybody want to also try?
I have a question.
Yes.
Like there is a tempo range, right, for the touch. Like what is the range of the tempo? Like is it from 60 to 120 BPM?
I actually don't have a limit. It's as fast as you can tap and the device registers. I think it will go that fast. It won't really sound very good.
Yeah.
And also very slow if you want to, tap every 2 seconds, you can. I guess the limitation, I had it, the MIDI example that I had is a piece by Ligeti, and it's written, everything's an eighth note. So it was a pretty clear example. And I did set up ahead of time that each tap would play 4 eighth notes. So that was the only choice that I ended up making for that piece.
Just one follow-up. Yeah. So what's the impact of the heart rate into that piece? Like, is it helping to synchronize? Like, you consider each signals as an oscillator and trying to synchronize them, something like that?
Not exactly. So I'm more interested in just monitoring what happens physiologically when the data is going on. And in the real experiment, there'll be some different conditions. So sometimes people will just be listening to the music without any control, and maybe their heart rate will, especially their heart rate variability, might reflect their engagement. And, in a different condition where they're actually getting to actively control, there should be something different, both because they're moving a little bit and hopefully because there's some engagement, increased engagement. So that's the idea of the heart, yeah.
Thanks. A nice presentation. Thanks.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. I just have like a few questions because we're not used to use MATLAB for real-time things. I mean, we're a Maxers company and a community, and so I was wondering whether in the course of the project it was envisioned some kind of Max library that could, for instance, interface easily sorry, I forgot the name of the sensor,
Oh,
the
the
brain
Muse,
sensor.
for example.
The Muse, for instance, or maybe is there any existing already mask libraries for us to use it as a controller for do whatever, you know?
I think that some people have, there may be some individuals who have interfaced the Muse with Macs already. That would be something that's super helpful. I mean, to just have a very like robust Bluetooth stream into Macs, I think. And I might not be the person to do it, but it's certainly an idea that we talked about because it would be very useful. So,
I mean, to us, yes, of course.
yeah.
And I have another question. Maybe I don't want to keep the mic on. Yes.
Maybe I'll just ask if you also plan to measure like subjectively how people feel about their level of engagement, or just look at the physiological, like the objective measures.
Definitely, I do want to ask them, subjectively as well. So in the real experiment, I'll have the objective measures from the sensors, and I'll probably give them a questionnaire after each listening trial with things like, exactly as you said, how engaged were you? Did you enjoy rate your enjoyment? Things like that. Because it's also not fully established what relates to, which physiological signals relate to which state that somebody is in, what they really feel subjectively. Yeah.
Perfect. You've just touched on what I was going to ask you, so I'll ask anyway, and I'll add something at the end. I was going to ask you how you are interpreting the data to relate to the physiological states, and also whether have you come across a paper on an analysis of cinema experiences that was analysing something called volatile organic compounds that people exhale?
Oh.
That are also, meaning can also be inferred, and maybe like some
No,
more
okay.
detailed data might be could be another dimension to add to your study.
Okay, very interesting. I'll ask you for the paper after.
Yeah, so you already answered my question, but I'll just add that as okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'll look up the paper as well.
So finally, if somebody wants to try any of this themselves, here are the softwares that I was using.
So we still have 1 minute for a very last question of mine. No, because you perfectly explain as a researcher the project and the device you use, and now I want to ask the artist and the composer, what do you want to do with this?
Oh, that's a good question. So, I mean, there are some limitations with using MIDI the way I'm using it. Like, well, I'll be making a piece for the Disklavier, and I think in order to have people interact with it, it needs to be at least be written with a regular beat. I don't know if it will sound that way. But I suppose, I mean, I'm interested to just have people think about the music in a bit more meaningful way. So especially, when somebody hears something for 5 seconds and then they decide already, yeah, I'm done with this, I never want to hear it again. I want them to at least try, maybe they have something to do and they just enjoy pressing the button and that's the only part they like. But as they listen, maybe they will realize that there is something to actually listen to. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.